Feel the magnitude of the shift in power as you bear witness to Noko's story of finding her voice and sovereign power and stepping out of Western medicine after being bullied and berated in their attempt to re-entrap her. Honor yourself, celebrate your strength, empower your transformation with your Yin-care. This is the Yin-care Podcast, and I'm your host, Margaret Jacobson, the Mother Rising. When our sensitive tissues are off, everything is off. That's one of the many reasons I absolutely love Yin-care's herbal wash. This incredible Taoist formula gently nudges the vaginal microbiome back into balance. Not to mention, it feels amazing. So get your hands on some Yin-care's herbal wash today. That's YINCARE.com. Restore, rejuvenate, and refresh with Yin-care. In this episode, we seriously, boldly go there. And when I mean there, I mean we dive deep into the belly of the Western medical industrial complex. Noko shares her powerful and at times heart-wrenching story of her entire family's vaccine injuries and how she woke up to recognizing she intuitively knew what was best for her and her baby. If this show inspires you to make any changes in your life, pause right there. Leave me a 5-star review, like the episode, subscribe to the channel, and even leave us a comment. It takes less than 5 seconds. Then head on over to yincare.com and sign up for our womb empowerments. Discover us on Instagram at yin_care or on X, Facebook, and YouTube at Yin-care to connect with the Yin-care community and learn about everything that's going on. And now, here's the episode for your listening and viewing pleasure. All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome into the Yin-care Podcast. I am your host, Margaret Jacobson, the Mother Rising. And this is the third in our burgeoning series of podcasts specifically addressing our guests' sovereign health choices. The Sovereign Health Choices series explores women and potentially men who are willing to share their bold choices where the Western industrial medical complex directed them to receive certain protocols, treatments, or medicines. And these courageous souls chose to listen to their own inner guidance and take a different course of action. Oftentimes, these choices have been in the face of both resistance from the medical professionals who stand steadfast behind their recommendations with threats of death running rampant, or from family and friends who are incredibly uncomfortable with personalized, intuitive choices that go against a Western medical practitioner or systems advice. Our guest today has done just that. Her own health creation journey has influenced her profoundly, and I'm thrilled to have you hear her story. I have had the honor to meet our guest several times online in sacred circles where our friendship has truly blossomed over the past several years. She is none other than Noko. Noko is a hawk priestess, a high-frequency music artist, and an angelic gatekeeper and grid worker. She is a devoted servant to Great Spirit as well as a dedicated guardian of Mother Earth. She has a sacred shop online, which includes crystals, jewelry, energetic readings, intentional frequency sessions, crystal healing, and other spiritual tools. And she enjoys sharing her sound healing, light language, crystal parties, group prayers, meditations, and self-care tips regularly on her social media and through her Patreon membership page. She puts an abundance of divine love, positive intentions, and care into her offerings. Her goal is to empower others on their awakening and healing journeys. She has infinite gratitude for Mother Earth's many medicine tools. She believes that we are all healers when we tap into creation magic and empower ourselves with God's love. But before I bring her on, I'd like her to introduce herself through her music. This song relates directly to some of her experience on her sovereign health choice journey. Have a listen to Unbreaking Science by Noko.
Hi everyone, I'm your host, Dr. James Lyons Byler, aka Dr. Jack. In this episode, we're going to review the evidence that science is broken. This is not a news story.
The truth will be told, the people will know the price of corporate science really taking its toll. Whistleblowers blow, public health battle low. They say the science is settled, but how do they know?
Science.
Ask questions, critically think, you should try it. It's pure, unadulterated science. Unbreaking science.
Unbreaking science.
You can't deny it, you sure can't buy it. Fact check, use your brain, don't be quiet. It's pure, unadulterated science. Unbreaking science.
Unbreaking science.
Using the tools of the trade to back up what we say. You can't be silent when it comes to unbreaking science. Let's light the truth up, next level ultraviolet. You got a hypothesis, do a critical test. Make an observation without being biased. Use logic and reason mixed with evidence. Look for patterns and results with significance. Calculate them numbers, real accurate, or else your findings won't be legit. Don't cherry pick, but be skeptic, cause broken science, it makes us sick. That science is being funded by the very same people that run it, so they can promote a product, so they can make that money. Try not to laugh, cause this ain't nothing funny. All these science-like activities, no joke, they call them studies. Hand-picking sample groups and no true placebos. Losing public trust the more and more that we know. The truth will be told, the people will know the price of corporate science really taking its toll. Whistleblowers blow, public health battle low. They say the science is settled, but how do they know?
Science.
Ask questions, critically think, you should try it. It's pure, unadulterated science. Unbreaking science.
Unbreaking science.
You can't deny it, you sure can't buy it. Fact check, use your brain, don't be quiet. It's pure, unadulterated science. Unbreaking science.
Unbreaking science.
Using the tools of the trade to back up what we say. Corporate science has become the norm. Conflicts of interest, the perfect storm. Industry and government, two forces join. Mandate the products, now they stacking up them coins. Add more to the pipeline, then fast track approval. Sample groups don't pan out, it's a simple removal. Translational failure, ego depletion, human conditions affecting reason. Numbers don't lie, but people do. Don't trust science to think for you. Do the research, check the facts. No false positive or negative p-hacks. Data integrity is not an option. Demand the truth, subpoena Dr. Thompson. Whistleblowers come forward, we gotta protect them. Scientists with integrity, we gotta respect them. The truth will be told, the people will know the price of corporate science really taking its toll. Whistleblowers blow, public health battle low. They say the science is settled, but how do they know?
Science.
Ask questions, critically think, you should try it. It's pure, unadulterated science. Unbreaking science.
Unbreaking science.
You can't deny it, you sure can't buy it. Fact check, use your brain, don't be quiet. It's pure, unadulterated science. Unbreaking science.
Unbreaking science.
Using the tools of the trade to back up what we say.
All right. Without further ado, everybody, that was a fantastic little taste of who is coming on now. I am going to be welcoming Noko. Welcome, Noko.
Hi, thank you for having me. I am honored to be here today.
Oh my gosh, that is such a cool song. It is so powerful.
Yeah, you're kind of taking me for a walk down memory lane there with that one. I often with my music surprise myself when I go back and re-listen or rewatch things. It's like, whoa, I'm doing something there. I'm liking the messages that I brought forward and how they came through just artistically,
So that's what I would love to hear. I mean, before we get into all the other juicy stuff that we're going to go through, but how did this song come to be and when did you write it and how did it flow through? I mean, obviously you were doing work in this field, but
Yeah, this is let's just say my healing journey and my music expression all kind of joined forces in a lot of ways. And so back then I was going through a lot of things, starting to awaken to certain things. And I had already, liked music and things like this. I've always been into music since I was very young. It runs in my blood. But I was doing a lot of activism at that time. This is almost a decade ago, where I was going to the CDC. And you see in the music video there, that's actual footage of me. I'm getting God chills as I'm sharing. That's me in the CDC, what I call the belly of the beast, bringing truth. I was able to get on the mic. They would have public comments back in the day at their ACIP meetings. It's ACIP, which is where they actually decide all the immunization schedules.
It's actually the board that Maha just fired and put in a new one.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. I was doing all this before it was like cool and popular. Nowadays, everybody's online speaking truth a lot more than back when I was doing it. It was a little bit more trailblazing. It was a little bit more of, bracing yourself for how it was going to be received. Right.
Absolutely.
This particular video, I think, if I remember correctly, is the one that hit the trolls. Like they got a hold of this. They put it into one of their groups online, like a Facebook group or something like that, where there were just thousands of people that started kind of coming at me.
Wow.
And it got a lot of attention. And, I wasn't unhappy about that because I created this music and I did that activism and spoke truth with the understanding that was par for the course, so
right.
For the course that is. So yeah, this song particularly was inspired by my work and being in the CDC, doing the research that I did and learning and also experiencing. You saw in the video, I was wearing a shirt that I had printed that said that all my family members had been injured, by shots. And that wasn't a lie. I had connected the dots on a lot of things in my lifetime through my children, through myself, through my mother, of injuries that we didn't even know, we were told other things. We were pointed in different directions. So I got to use my little fashion design degree background in the music videos and make the little, I actually cut out those little halter tops and shirts. Those were all like my own designs.
Wow.
Even the half shirt, it says Health Freedom Georgia. I had created a group back then on Facebook, and it was called Health Freedom Georgia. And I made that logo.
Because you're in Atlanta, Georgia. We should. Yeah.
Atlanta. Yeah. I'm not in Atlanta. I was always on the outskirts of the city, but that's where the CDC rallies were. We had a lot of other activists would come from around the world, and the Vaxxed bus, if y'all have ever heard of Vaxxed, I got very involved with them and, sharing my story on the bus, signing the bus, as I said, as we have injuries in my family, and really getting to know, how common this was. It was much more common for people to be injured by this product than I could even fathom. And so the more that I dug, the more that I read, the more that I heard, from actual people in my life and witnessed the tragedy, it really inspired my music. And so I wrote Unbreaking Science. Actually, it was a kind of little side request because the guy that you see in that video at the podium, that was a real rally that was happening. I think that one was in DC, Health Freedom Rally. And that man, I call him Jack, James Lyons Whaler, he is a scientist that has been really bringing out the truth. And he's written books as well in regards to the connection with autism and with shots and things like this. So,
and I want to do two little things. One is I'm also a fan of Vaxxed and the High Wire and Del Bigtree.
Del,
anyway, I just happened to be listening to this other interview that Del had done on a different podcast today. And one of the things that he makes so clear, which I think is so important, is that people understand that the connection with autism is that it causes an encephalopathy, which is a swelling of the brain. So you may receive, it is written in the inserts as a side effect that is clear. So encephalopathy is written there as a clear side effect.
Yeah.
And so what happens is that these young ones that are receiving these vaccines will develop encephalopathy. Obviously not all of them, but some do. And sadly, a good number of them do. With the increasing numbers of vaccines that are on the schedules, it's just too much for little bodies to tolerate, among other things. And that encephalopathy leads to, after they're fighting with it, a deterioration of their neurological pathways to a place where they then develop autism. So autism, in a sense, is a byproduct of that original injury. So, and I heard some very sad news that it does sound like the database that they were hoping to get to use I don't know if it was, I forget which agency had it, but that JFK Jr. had access to in order to go back and look at the studies related to autism, because that was one of their big things as it relates to the MAHA movement, that they would have some update by fall. Apparently someone in there deleted the entire database. So the research people cannot go back and do the research now. So obviously they were covering something up. They do have, I guess, a freedom of health information request in to try and access the data to see for sure if it was gone. But anyway, I just thought I would add that since I was listening to that today.
Wow, what a synchronicity. Unfortunately, that's exactly what happened in my family with the encephalitis. I didn't know that at the time. I didn't know that's what was going on. But yeah, it's your baby's brain is literally burning up and frying inside of their head. And gosh, it's really tough. It's really tough to think about that. And it actually doesn't require a large amount of shots for that to happen, because my son only got the first one when he was born, hepatitis B. So
and that's such a ridiculous one too, because you likely didn't even have that issue.
There was no need. After doing the research, and even after starting to ask questions, even in the process, because they try to get you to get 3 of those. There's 3 in the series. And come to find out, this is the same shot that also injured me. When I was a teenager, it had just come out, and they got me in school, in high school, basically sent a form home. My parents were like, oh, sure. Yeah, of course, But anyways, I don't want to forget. I do want to shout out that scientist, because he's the one who inspired Unbreaking Science. He has a podcast. I don't know if it's still current, but he had one when he asked me to write that song. He wanted a theme song for his podcast called Unbreaking Science.
Wow.
So that's where you can hear his voice in it as well. He says Unbreaking Science. My amazing producer, shout out Jay Paul, he also did the videography for the music video and made the track, the beat that went underneath my verses, my lyrics, and he recorded it as well. He was very integral in all of it, and he came up with the idea to put Jack's, Dr. James' voice in there in the song, and I loved it. He showed me the little thing where he clipped it, and I was like, yes, that's perfect. It's the missing element. That's why I love
That's so cool. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's so cool. I also was I was in California at the time when a lot of 10 years ago when you were doing this work, and there was a bill in California. It was a little bit before 10 years ago. It was a little more than 10 years ago that they had on the table to require vaccinations for all school age children or something. I think that there was maybe that you couldn't opt out of it, or they were making it harder. But I had a number of really big issues related to, I was going through a divorce at the time, and my ex, it was a big contention that I actually had to have a document that went on my kids' folders that said that they couldn't receive a vaccination in their doctor's office, that said they couldn't receive a vaccination without my approval. So, their biological father actually tried to take them to different pharmacies to just get it was terrible. Like I was completely bullied by the pediatrician. Someday I'm going to find the recording because I did record it and it was backed up on my old iPhone somewhere, when we used to actually have to back them up, not onto the cloud. But I was so bullied by the doctor, and I had my older podcast, the Mother Rising podcast, and I did interview, I don't know if you knew Lisa Joyce Goes, who wrote The Thinking Moms Revolution. Anyway, she was very involved in that movement as well. But anyway, but I would love to segue now into really just now that we've kind of laid a foundational element, but if you could go back into your healing, kind of the portal of your healing journey and where where those pieces are, where you kind of met up with against challenges with the medical system for their recommendations and choices that you were making for your own health, and maybe family members or friends that were uncomfortable with your choices and all of that. Just love to share that with the audience.
Wow. Do you have like 5 hours? Because we get a lot of material here, love.
That's okay. We just go. If we need to do more, we do more, we do it another time.
Part two, part three.
Exactly.
So yeah, let me start, I think, with my awakening, where I'd already had a son who he's now in his 20s. And I followed all the norms, all the status quos, what the doctors tell you, what you're told, what we are thinking is right. And kind of learned the hard way with that situation. But it was really a blessing because it also allowed me to awaken further as I had my next one, because I didn't have my second child until he's 11. So, I was almost like starting over, right? And I was not physically as well as I would have liked to have been at that point in my life when I had my second child. I was struggling with different things with my health, digestive issues, skin issues, just not having energy, mental fog, and even like, I would say mental health, kind of like depression type things. And although I would have preferred not to have a child and try to procreate at that time in my life when I'm not as healthy as I'd like to be, there is, I had my biological clock ticking there back in the day. And my husband, really wanted to add to our family. And so when I got pregnant with my youngest, I was like on the fence. I was like teetering on the awakening of, hey, something's not right. I'm going to see, traditional, allopathic doctors, which I wholeheartedly believed in at the time. I myself wanted to be a pediatrician. I did a rigorous biology fast track course in school and really wanted to be a pediatrician. I really wanted to actually work in the field and help people with medicine. And so science was like a big, I believe in it. I understand it. I participate in it. But I didn't question it because I just believed in it. And I just, moved forward with anything that science was telling me, right? Like the doctors.
For sure.
So I went the normal route. I got checked out. I got poked and prodded. I was seeing many different doctors because, in allopathic medicine, there's not really like they put you to specialists. So they're not talking to each other. I remember I was seeing a gastro doctor. I was seeing, I guess you would say like a woman, like OBGYN type doctor. And I was having reoccurring infections. So a lot of issues with
I was going to say like vaginal yeast infections.
A lot of yeast issues. But then I would go to the doctor and she would test me and all this. Oh, no, you don't have anything. Oh, no, nothing's going on. This is not, or sometimes she would find something and then give me diflucan. Back then was the prescription. And I did that a lot. Like this doctor at some point wanted to put me on even like an extended amount of it. And that's when I finally drew the line and said, this isn't already working. So why would I go on it on a longer term? Come to find out, it like kills your liver. So anyways, she couldn't help me. The gastro couldn't help me. They told me I had IBS, I think was the diagnosis. And they were also trying to find Crohn's disease because I had a marker in my blood for Crohn's. So in order to find that in allopathic medicine, you have to catch it when it's flared up, and you have to see it like getting a colonoscopy or something. It's really invasive to find this. A lot of people that have Crohn's, it takes like decades for them to get, ever get the diagnosis. So yeah, I went into medical debt. I did all the things they told me to do. The gastro had no prescriptions for me. They had no anything for me to do. There was no.
And when you say you went into medical debt, I just want to address that really quick because I'm assuming you had insurance.
Yeah.
Okay. So you had insurance, but this was like, it was clearly not covered, portions that were not covered. Okay. Yeah. Just want to point that out.
Fully insured. Yeah, I had great jobs. I always worked the corporate world for decades and had great insurance.
Or so you thought.
Or so I thought. But when it came down to, the co-pays and the things that were not included or additional, all the tests, because at that, I was only in my 30s and I was having to get the colonoscopy. I did the lower GI x-ray. They were at a point where they wanted, the final thing was for me to swallow a camera pill. And it was going to cost a lot of money. Wow. And I just said, you know what? I was at that point. I had already hit the brick wall. And I just said, I think I'm done with the poking and prodding. There's no discussions in here about my lifestyle, what I'm eating, anything around, what could be the cause. Anytime I go and see, even with the woman doctor, nobody is talking about root causes. Nobody is talking about, how to make changes outside of a prescription. And at some point, my logical mind was like, something isn't sitting right here with me. Like if I was being my scientist self, and if I was that doctor, I would want to get more to the bottom of that. I would want to listen to my patient versus gaslight them or make them feel like they don't have anything wrong with them. And clearly somebody wouldn't just coming in here lying. It's not like, I'm trying to get pain medicine. I just want help with, being comfortable and having a system that works how the human body is designed to do. I mean,
so you're basically observing the outcomes, which is very definitively like, oh, this is, we have no more evidence for anything with this test. We have no more evidence for anything with this test. We have no more evidence for anything with this test. And they're like, well, we still don't know blah, blah, blah. We still don't know blah, blah, blah. We better try this. We better try that. We better try this. We better try that. And you're like, okay, so this is my line in the sand. Like we have now gone to where you guys clearly are not acknowledging the fact that you actually don't know what's going on and you have no clear path to truly find out what is going on and no financial plan around how to get there, which is one thing they also don't take into account, which is that your financial pocketbook is part of your overall health and they're completely disconnected from that. So you've crossed your line in the sand and then
yeah, it actually took me a lot to get there because I won't go into detail because it's a little private, but I had another chronic issue that was going on because of my issues with not being able to go to the bathroom properly. Let's just say that for quite a long time where I was backed up, I was struggling, straining, and the gastro doctor sent me to I don't even know what to call it, a doctor of the proctologist. I don't know.
Something like that. Sure.
So, I mean, this was like, I was beside myself to go and even do this, by the way. But I remember going in there one time and I got in there and I was already so uncomfortable with having to get up there and do, have them look at me and everything.
Right.
And I just met this guy. Right. And he's like, oh yeah, by the way, I have a guest, doctor with me today. And like this giant MBA.
Of course they do this.
Young college, intern, MBA looking guy. And I was just like, are you serious right now? I didn't want you to look at me. Now you've got this guy here. I don't mean to make you uncomfortable, but that we actually covered something like this in a past episode with Laura Jansen. I don't know if you watched that one, but you can go back and see. And in that she had a birth since she had actually had prior
trauma of being anally raped. And then in her birth, where she had asked the doctor to not touch her, not touch any part of her unless they had asked her explicitly. And this doctor actually went in the anus to help scoop the baby to what she determined was, it's a move. It's called the Ricken or something that's used during breech, but she had a breech baby.
Okay. I've never heard of that.
I know. And anyway, it was like this horrible, she had a major trauma response. So I'm just saying they always do this. Like this is like such that area of our body is so private and vulnerable, and here this, to just get people in this space of like, here comes an intern or whatever that's coming in and, oh, by the way, can they either watch or can they do the move? Can they practice on you basically? Right. Is that what happened?
Well, luckily there wasn't much practicing because they were just looking and figuring out what we were going to do. It was the first time I was in there, and I was blown away that after that, within that appointment, I had a surgery scheduled. I had a prescription for painkillers.
Wow.
And there was no conversation or talk about solving my digestive problems because I was still backed up. So this guy's giving me painkillers, which are going to constipate me even more.
Wow.
And is ready to go in and do surgery in that area when I am still not going to the bathroom properly. So I'm going to be operated on. And then what's going to happen there? I'm not going to heal, right? I'm going to be straining, and it's going to cause an even worse problem. So once I put 2 and 2 together, I walked out of there with the appointment and with the prescription. But once I got home and I sat with that for where I already was, like feeling like I wasn't getting anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I had also brought up a few things. I didn't mention this, but when I was at the gastro doctor, I had been doing some research online, and they don't like that. Okay.
Right.
So, and some of it, don't get me wrong, online is not, you can't believe everything on there. I get it why they don't like it. But there's a lot of facts. There's a lot of information online as well. It's a, mixed bag, right? And you got to use discernment. So I went to my gastro and I said, hey, I really think there's something with this candida situation. I've been researching it. I see a lot of people talking about their similar issues with yeast overgrowth, which I've been experiencing for quite some time, with digestive issues, with skin issues. And she told me that, it wasn't possible. Oh, wait, no, this doctor, I remember she said under her breath, she said, oh no, that's not likely. And then she said under her breath, but if I were you, I'd go see a naturopath. She kind of whispered it to me, young doctor. And I realized in that moment, like, first of all, why would she whisper that? Okay. Just putting that out there. Yeah. As far as like, is something listening in there? Do they have recording devices or something? Like keeping an eye on what the doctors are saying.
Yeah. Okay.
Or worried a colleague's going to hear it through the door or something. I don't know.
Right.
But that in itself is a problem. If that's going on, that's a huge problem. But I thanked her, for the rest of my life. Like I've been just like, thank you for dropping that, because I was already kind of thinking about it and hearing about naturopaths. And so when she said that, it was kind of my green light of like, all right, you guys aren't helping me. And on top of it, the woman doctor, one of the women doctors that I was seeing, and I brought up candida, she said, that's not even possible because you'd have to have cancer or AIDS, HIV, something like that with a weakened immune system for there to be that type of thing. And I said, well, first of all, have you tested me for cancer? Have we done any of that? And I said, how does that make any sense? It's not just one or the other. It's an imbalance. So if there's an overgrowth, that could be growing, right? And potentially getting you to a point where you have cancer, and then you get the diagnosis later. So it was very interesting. All these
use your intuition.
It was all coming together.
Science.
Yeah. And I was just like, okay. After the surgery appointment, that was it. I was like, okay, that's it. Like I canceled the appointment. I stopped seeing all of these doctors. I scheduled with a naturopath, and I started on my way of trying to figure out what are my other options? Because this is literally a brick wall. This is the definition of insanity, is just doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results, right? And I finally went and saw a naturopath, and that was when I started to see some change. That's when I started to see a different view, a different perspective, and this whole new like world opened up for me of understanding, you know, about my own body, about the holisticness of the human vessel and how I've been mistreating it, you know, how so many different components that I needed to review and look at. And the naturopath couldn't help with all of it. You know, they're human too. And they're working with what they have, the tools that they have. And we're all so unique and different. I actually saw a few naturopaths and just kind of slowly moved into that space. So it was interesting because when I had Kingston, my body actually felt better than it ever had. My youngest son, when I was pregnant, it's almost like having him inside of me helped regulate or balance. Like I was in a better place. And then once I had him, I couldn't start detoxing and going, you know, doing what the naturopath, and they told me this, the naturopath was like, listen, if you're going to breastfeed while you're pregnant, all these things, you have to just wait. There's a few things you can do, of course, to make change, you know, with your nutrition and things like that. But supplements and detoxing and all the things, like I had to wait until I was done breastfeeding, and then I could really move into that space.
Right. And so, and I'm just piecing a few things together. So, so you were pregnant with Kingston when you were going through all of this too, when you were
it was somewhat simultaneous, because I remember talking to my woman doctor and she wanted to do that diflucan plan. And I told her that we were trying to get pregnant, you know, and she said, oh no, you know, if you guys are trying to have, you can't do it. I wouldn't recommend that. Which I appreciated. You know, she was actually a pretty good doctor overall. So I wasn't pregnant. Like I was already going through all my chronic illness. And then kind of got pregnant, and then it was all in the midst of it.
And so how was your husband supportive of your figuring this out in all these different ways, or what was his?
Yeah, super supportive. He's always been supportive in that way. And even to the extent of, you know, making different choices for our children and things like that. Like he always trusted me with, you know, my research and my intuition, and he really just wanted me to be well and be okay, because there was a time I got down. I've been going through a lot of my records because I've been kind of not thinking about all this for quite a long time.
For sure.
You get into a place where you're feeling good, you're looking good, all these things, and you're like healthy, and you're like, you forget about where you came from and some of the things that you really got to be grateful for. But I've been looking at some of the old videos and really tuning into some of the information, some of the journals. I was 80 something pounds.
What?
I got down to 80 something pounds.
Jeez.
I couldn't eat anything without immediately getting inflamed, bloating, pain.
Jeez.
And that was part of when I started cleansing too, because there was like this, it was really hard. Like I think we have an issue, like a genetic thing. It's called MTHFR. I'm not sure if you've heard of that, but
I have heard of it. But what is it? What does it stand for?
It's very common for autistic. So for people with autism, for it to be in their family, because there's something, and it can come from both sides of the family. So if you only have it from the mom or the dad, it's less of an issue. Whereas if you have it on both sides, it's more of an issue. But basically your body, and it varies on the grades of this, but your body can't detox as at 100% like it should. And so people that have that, a lot of times, like they'll go into Herxheimer and like get really bad, get really sick when they're trying to cleanse and detox their body, because their body doesn't have the full capability to remove the toxins at the proper rate. And this is part of why we see the autism seems to be, you know, oh, well, this person got a shot and they didn't get autism, you know, but we're all so different. And so this MTHFR, it also has something to do with.
I just looked it up. It's methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase.
So even like the vitamins, if it's not a methylated vitamin, like it can release be a problem. Certain things can really be a problem for people with this issue. And so I was noticing as I started to cleanse and clear my body that I was really struggling. Like my pathways probably weren't as open as they needed to be. I was going pretty rigorous, and I got down to like 80 something pounds. My face was just a mess. I mean, you wouldn't even recognize me. I think a lot of people wondered if I was dying, if I had cancer, if I, what was going on. And it was around that same time back when I was doing the activism. And so I think my husband was genuinely concerned for my health and really just wanted any reprieve, any chance for me to get well, to return,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So did you bump up against anyone in your family or anything that was giving you a hard time about the choices other than maybe the doctors, or were...
Not with my journey. I got full support, and I honestly didn't really talk to too many people in depth with those sort of things as far as like what I was doing. But the choices with my children, when Kingston came along, and we came to a point where we decided we weren't going to do the shots anymore, that was definitely a place where there were some opinions. And also even just like friends, not just family, but like, maybe people that when they realized I was doing that activism, speaking up about those things, like all of a sudden they disappeared from my life because they thought I was like crazy or something,
Right. Of course. Yes. Had the same experience. So,
and I feel like I have to, before I forget, I have to bring this through for you. I connected the fact when I went to the naturopath, they do those panels where they can check on like what you're more inflamed by, what you're allergic, they say allergy, but it's different than I feel like a regular
sensitivity, different sensitivities. Yeah.
Tolerance, sensitivity. Yes. So I did that I was doing all these panels, finding out what should I eat? What should I stay away from? And these things can change and fluctuate as you go. And it was nice because I could see my success. Like, wow, okay. My naturopath said, I see that you're not eating these things, and you're going to be able to introduce those back in at some point. Part of why I was getting so small, I think, was the fact how much I was eliminating from my diet, but also I don't think my nutrients were being absorbed. I think there was something blocking. And I think that parasites can do that. We know the imbalances can do that big time. But one thing that I found really interesting was on that test, she saw that I was highly allergic or inflamed by yeast. And this was something that I was like, wait a minute. Okay, I'm having all these yeast issues. Now you're telling me that I can't, and I'd already stayed away from yeast because of that. I'd already been doing like candida diets and researching, no sugar, all the things. But I didn't understand it to that level of that there might be something more with the yeast. I didn't know that it was such a connection point for me. So when I started to deep dive and awaken to the shots and everything that happened with my youngest. Okay. And we can talk about that if you want.
Yeah. I would like to. Yeah.
When I found all of this out and I started researching that hepatitis B vaccine, I found out on the insert, one of the ingredients, guess what one of the ingredients is?
Yeast. You're kidding me. Wow.
No. And I have to also say, this is a common ingredient that they use. A lot of, they use certain things that are like preservatives is how they claim.
Yeah.
But something that really stuck out to me was I had gotten the hepatitis B shot as a teenager. And it was after that point in my life that I had all these mystery issues pop up in my skin. I got this, like, it looked like ringworm, like hives all over my body. And it would be like off and on, random. It was so weird. I thought I was having like allergies. I went to experts back then at Dartmouth Hitchcock, and none of them could figure out what was wrong with me. And I also started having these issues with yeast at the same time in my life, super out of whack. So when I saw that was an ingredient, and I had already been doing research and realizing things about shots, and I found out that in the lab, when they're trying to do science experiments and they want to give a rat an allergy, guess what they do? They give them a shot with the thing that they want them to be allergic for. So if I want to give that rat a yeast allergy, let me just.
Right. Exactly. Because it's the way immunizations work, right? You're specifically targeting an individual's immune system, asking it per se to have an immune response. And so therefore, whatever is in there, you're going to have an immune response to, which is one of the reasons why 3 of the things that we mostly have people remove, or I should say Daniel, in his practice has people removed at our Yao clinic, are gluten, dairy, and eggs. And eggs, because they have used eggs in immunizations. And it shows up on almost everybody's lab. I don't know if it showed up for you on the labs that you did. Yeah. Anyway.
It was certain, I forget, it was like I could have yolks and not whites, and then I could have whites and not yolks. But I will say you're onto something there, because in my research, I noticed, because I was looking at all the inserts and I was looking at all the ingredients, and I started noticing these patterns of exactly what you're saying. All of the common allergies and things that people are inflamed by, even to the point of dairy and beef and things like that, because they use bovine serum is an ingredient that they are commonly putting in there. Peanut allergy, they were using peanut oil.
Wow.
Okay. So all of these things, and now you hear about all these people talking about candida and these overbalances in yeast, and nobody is connecting that dot of this is actually an ingredient they're sticking into your body that your body's only supposed to encounter through eating or smelling, right? Or touch maybe on your skin, but you should not be injecting it into, breaking through the surface of your skin and injecting it into your body. That's when your body says, whoa, what is this? And it starts to have those autoimmune types.
Was it in the COVID shot? Do you know?
I don't know. I didn't, to be honest. I'm
just curious because Daniel has been treating a lot. He's been doing a lot of GI map testing lately and really working very intricately with rebuilding people's guts through a variety of different introducing different bacteria, combining it with their food sensitivity tests, combining it with Chinese medicine and herbal formulation. It's pretty complex what's going on. But he was sharing with me about someone who had like a huge major yeast blowout. And he's like, I used to think like some of the times like people, it was like a go-to for a lot of naturopaths. Like it would be like, oh, that's just a yeast. And now you've got to go through this like whole cleanse thing and whatever. And he's like, I just felt like it was so reductionistic. Obviously we've got to have some yeast. Like it's part of what your body does have, to some degree. And here they were trying to completely obliterate it. It just didn't resonate. Their protocols didn't resonate for him. But he's like, here I am gifted with this patient who has full blown massive yeast blowout. And so it's just interesting. I was just curious because he is treating a lot of people who did receive that. So
it's it wouldn't surprise me in the least because it's very common. And it probably on the ingredient list looks pretty like innocent, right? Somebody's probably like, oh, okay. It's not some weird tetrahyga, but we got to say all this chemicals or something. It's just yeast. Okay. No big deal.
Right.
But yeah, and interestingly enough, in my studies around candida and in my experience of what I went through in cleansing candida out of my body, this is a little, I guess, trigger warning or maybe TMI, but a lot of times when you're cleansing, things come out of your body. You're releasing, and so I was getting a lot of these like white, web-like, sticky, gummy, like things. It would come out of my nose. It would come out of my mouth sometimes. I won't go into all the.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when I was studying this and looking into it, I started researching and I was finding information where there was like this whole big group of patients that had passed away from cancer. And when they opened up their bodies after for like the, research or whatever, they were just filled with this white, webby, what I would say sounds a lot like candida and what I was talking about. And so, what if, right? I mean, you just heard me say the doctor that I was talking to about candida, oh, that could only happen if you had cancer. Why did she say that right away? Because she always sees it. So then I started connecting and looking at that. Are these things interrelated? Is there a connection? And if so, even more of a reason to be looking at that yeast ingredient and asking for that to be informed consent, asking for that to be removed and asking for, people to at least know what they're potentially putting into their baby that was just born the same day your baby's born. They're sticking your baby with this.
Yeah.
For
So
sexually transmitted disease.
let's talk about that. Let's talk about your youngest, Kingston, and what happened. What led you to stop using those, or what were the,
It's interesting because I was already, because of what I was going through, I was already on the fence. Like I was already, is this right? My mommy intuition was definitely
for sure
coming forward a bit. And I, like most parents, you know, didn't have a lot of time to do the research and all these things at that time. I was pregnant. And also there's not a lot of resources at that time.
I just want to shout out to anyone who's watching this that Candace Owens, if you pay on her website just for a short time, if you're pregnant or thinking about being pregnant, or you have a friend, and even if you don't like Candace Owens, you don't have to like her, but she has a fantastic series on vaccinations. So just, it goes through everything that new parents should know and all of the research and everything. So pay $5 or whatever the minimum is for a couple months, watch all the videos and get educated. So just wanted to, anyway, go ahead.
That's awesome. No, I love that you said that. And I know that she was a new mom recently, which is obviously part of why she probably already did the work and was like, hey, let me share this with everybody.
I think she's on baby 4 now.
Wow.
She's on baby 4. I think she just had her 4th. I'm pretty sure it's her 4th baby. Yeah.
Wow.
She's full on going down the mama road, which
Sounds
is cool.
like she knows, she knows what she's doing. That's great.
Yeah. Carry on. We want to hear your story, my dear.
So I did everything, you know, basically by the book to start with. I was moving forward cautiously, concerned, but not having enough to really stand up for myself. Feeling like there was a lot stacked up against me with, you know, when you do ask a question, like I've already experienced in the allopathic medicine route of gaslighting, of don't be looking online, and that's not facts, and, you know, just being questioned and all of this. So with Kingston, I had C-section with both my boys. We were at the hospital, and I remember he was nursing like a champ. Like he just, like, the nurse even said something and was like, wow, you know, within just a few hours of being birthed, wow, I rarely see such a great, you know, bond and nursing connection with mom and baby, especially after C-section. And this is just amazing. And just, we were so excited to have that feedback. And then they had taken him away for whatever, I forget what was, they were doing something, weighing him or cleaning him or whatever. And the next time that he was returned to us, it's like he had forgotten how to feed. It was like,
God.
There was no latching. It was really difficult. It was frustrating. And mind you, I was post-surgery. I remember being in the hospital room and literally I had my oldest son with us. I think he was like 10 or 11, and my husband, and literally having to hand express milk into this little plastic spoon from the hospital, and was like baby bird feeding him to try to get him back onto the, you know, we're like, you know, trying to
make him interested in.
Yeah. So it was like a totally different baby came back to me in regards to nursing. And I didn't put 2 and 2 together yet at that point. I was just like, oh, okay, something's happened. It's not, you know. Yeah. Okay. So fast forward, we go home, and we went in for the 1-month checkup with the pediatrician. And usually the Hep B, the second dose, is given at the 2-month visit. But when I went in at the 1-month visit, I was asking questions. Like, I was like, you know, I want to know about why we need to give the hepatitis B shot. You know, what are the risks, and why do we do that? And the lady was kind of like, the nurse was like, well, you know, it's a sexually transmitted disease. And
I know, like, great answer to a new mom, because, you know, my new baby's been so active. What the heck, right?
Well, she, of course, connected it to, we just want to make sure in case you or anyone, you know, if it comes
I know, but still, really, like,
no, I was appalled.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Had I known that, I would have already said no at the hospital to the first one. Okay.
For sure.
So I started connecting the dots, and I was like, ooh, I don't really and I don't really know if, okay, and then all of a sudden she came in and they wanted to give it to him at the 1 month, which I didn't even know that was happening. Like I thought we were going to do the 2 month. And that's when I was in an awkward situation of, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to stand up. I wasn't ready to say no. I just was going along with it, even though I still felt uncomfortable.
Well, they cornered you. They probably purposefully cornered you. They saw a hesitancy and they thought the only way we're going to get this is now.
Right now.
And they're under certain guidelines to by the clinic from a health services administrator standpoint, with my background, they're required by their medical office to have X number of their patients, if not all, receiving these vaccines, because that's how they get a kickback. That's how the clinic makes money. And they saw that you were going to probably say no, and you probably wouldn't have come back in to do it. Mm-hmm. Cha-ching.
You're on the target.
You are
girl.
An awesomely billable item, and that little baby you're holding is one too. It's terrible.
I think there was still a part of me that couldn't fathom that the system could be that broken. There was still a part of me that didn't believe, like it was so innocent and couldn't see that these people could actually harm my child. I still didn't.
Yeah. By what you're saying, I can see that, because your questions are absolutely intelligent and good ones, and ones that if you are in a genuine health partnership with your practitioner, which of course you are responsible. The baby is your property under common law. The baby is your property. You are responsible for that baby. They are not beholden to the state. And they're acting like they are in charge of this whole situation. And I honestly believe that they have unconsciously purposefully put into action ways to induce birth trauma that we all feel that they are our saviors and that we should be beholden. So here you are, having recovered a month after a cesarean in a very fragile place, very, very fragile. Having had a C-section myself, I know what that's like. I mean, I recovered the pictures. If I had it right here, I'd show you. We just look like a mess, like a huge trauma happened to us. I'll try and put them in some of these, some of the video footage that we do, because it's so sad what happened. But, here you are coming in and you're asking such good questions with such this great way to bridge the relationship and create like a health team event. And they just turn it around and then just,
It's definitely an emotional time. If you think about parenthood in general, being new moms and dads, you are not getting a lot of sleep. You are, you're just trying to figure things out. Financially, you might be struggling. Like there's so many pieces and parts, and your emotional status. And we even know about things with postpartum, that can come into play for moms. So it's definitely a weak place, and a place that could easily be targeted in a negative way. And preyed upon, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely felt that many, many times. And I've been through my own birth trauma stories. My first son, I almost died after having a C-section with him. Yeah, I lost so much blood. I almost died. The nurse told me when I woke up that I should be lucky that I even am there.
And then they plant that seed. And I'm sorry, you probably were lucky. I don't know what the circumstances are, but the fact that they plant that seed, now you're beholden to a medical system and grateful to it.
Yeah.
And then you trust they become who you trust instead of trusting yourself. It's just, it's so crazy.
It's a God complex, really. The more that I've witnessed, I always call it the white coat complex. Yeah, exactly. And it's built that way. I don't blame an individual doctor or ego or anything like that. It's literally built, the system, the education system, everything that they do, it's all built upon that. And it goes really deep. I won't get into some of what I believe with that. Oh, yeah. But I believe that it's incorporated in the spiritual warfare. Let me just say that.
I just finished this book. So the social transformation of American medicine goes back to 1760 and all the way up to, I think, like 2018 with the epilogue. But, it's, Yeah, it's deep for sure.
So, if you've been reading that kind of material. Yeah. So anyway, so what happened was I caved. He got the second Hep B shot and they put it in the leg, in the thigh. And I, at that time, asked for all of the inserts because I'd been researching now. I asked for all of the inserts for the next rounds that they expected him to get because I wanted to really look at these things.
Right.
I wanted to investigate. I wanted to research all the pieces and parts because I did already feel like I was probably gonna, if not, I think in my mind, I was going to space them out. I would, because I still had this fear in the back of me that, he was going to die if I didn't do these things. And that's a program, right? So we got home and I remember there was a night, I don't know if it was that very night, it was very close to right when he had gotten it, of he couldn't sleep. He was just shrill crying, out of control. Him or my husband or me could not console him.
That night?
I believe it was the same. Yeah. Right. And, or around that same time frame as to when it happened. And we were like, what is going on? I even called the doctor, like emergency line and stuff like that. And like, oh, just give him Tylenol, and which is the worst thing you can do. And told me it's normal when they get the shot sometimes to have these kind of reactions. And so I had no idea. But now after doing all the activism and the work that I've done and learning and research, I found out that he was having encephalitis. So his brain was on fire and having like an extreme neurological, damage. And within a couple months, I want to say it was in a month or two, he started having these weird little, almost like hives or something on his skin. And I thought, oh, I'm pretty sensitive. I told you my story about what had happened to me. That's what happened to me after I got the Hep B. And I just thought it's genetic. It's just us, whatever, this happens sometimes. And started going to see the doctors for that, of course, because I was still signed up for all of that. And they told us that it was like some sort of virus, some sort of random weird virus. And we had to be really careful. And so they put like antibiotics, we're doing like whatever on there. And then the next time I came in with him, he had gotten a little bit of a fever. And that's when I was at my pediatrician and he literally was like, you have to go to the hospital right now. You can't, do not pass go, do not collect 200. Like you need to go from here to the Children's Hospital in Atlanta. They thought it was like staph or something like that. They were calling it cellulitis. Okay. And so we ended up at the Children's Hospital in Atlanta. My son was under 4 months old. He was on an IV of antibiotics overnight. The worst you can imagine for his system. And where he was breaking out and where the biggest infection was on his body, guess where it was?
Right where the site of injection was?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right on that thigh. And, I'm getting God chills.
Poor guy.
So it was a nightmare. We were so scared. It was the worst night if you've ever had a baby in the hospital, you know.
I have.
Okay.
I do. Yeah.
Seeing them getting injected, getting the things. And so it was really heartbreaking. And at that point he was getting towards 4 months and we were already like said no. I think it was like to the 2 months or whatever else they were going to give him. We were like, no, we're going to wait a little bit. And we're just not feeling comfortable. We may just, space him out and whatnot. And later, as I was reviewing his photos from back then, I noticed like his whole hand, like we joked about it back then. I don't know if you ever heard of the rapper called Big Pun, but he had like a big hand. And we used to look at that photo and be like, oh, look, Big Pun, little baby Big Pun, And now looking back on it, I'm like alarmed because I'm looking at him like he was in distress. Like he was swelling up. He was having all these problems and the doctors were not recognizing any of it. There was never a mention of an injury or a shot issue. There was never anything brought up about any of that. Fast forward, I forget when we got to that point where we realized something, he wasn't, there was something going on and with his neurological, with his things that he was doing, his behaviors and different things. And he got tested and he, sure enough, got the diagnosis for autism.
Oh my gosh.
Now I literally didn't get any more shots. We only got 2 of the hepatitis B. He'd never gotten anything else. Okay. Maybe vitamin K. I think they give him that in the hospital too.
Right.
Because I didn't say no to that. So he did get vitamin K, which also comes with a black box warning. But after realizing all these things and going back and being able to connect the dots of, wow, that was an injury. And then I started doing the research on the Hep B shot. And sure enough, one of the side effects in the dang insert was cellulitis.
Oh, good God.
Okay. And then I didn't mention this, but when I asked them at that 1 month appointment for the rest of the inserts, they gave me all this paperwork. I get home and I'm looking through it and doing my due diligence. It's a bunch of rap sheets from like the CDC, just basically scaring you into getting these things. They were not.
They didn't give you the insert. Oh my God.
No.
You're kidding me.
They did not give me the inserts.
So how is that informed consent?
That's specifically what I asked for. And I started getting feedback.
You asked for informed consent. They're required to give you informed consent. Yeah. You're not even supposed to have to ask for it. They're supposed to, but you did ask for it. And what they came back with was propaganda.
Yeah. I mean, look, when you go to the pharmacy, right? You have to sign off that you received the informed consent with the pharmaceutical product, right? Well, that's just null and void when it comes to shots. Okay. And to the fact that they're hiding it. I'm sorry, but you're hiding that. If you're not willing to give me that, if you make some stupid excuse, oh, I don't have enough of them, or I have a multi-box and there's only one, well, make a copy or give me the website, right? So I was able to get right online to the products, to the pharmaceutical companies.
You can, it's pretty easy.
Yeah. Pulled up all the inserts and I was appalled at some of the things that I was reading.
Wow.
I mean, from the ingredients to the side effects and risks, to the lack of proof that this stuff even works, to the claims, the disclaimers they put on there. Some of the things they put on there hasn't been tested for mutagenic properties, for carcinogenic properties. That's cancer-causing properties. Wow. Hasn't been tested for fertility. These are all things that, I'm sorry, how is this legal?
I think that hepatitis B vaccine too, I feel like in the interview I just listened to, he was sharing that if you go and look online and it's under 2 different pharmaceutical names, and I don't have them in the top of my head, but if you go in there and you look, oh gosh, darn it. What was I going to, and you look at, I think he said it was in the breakdown, they have like numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it goes. He said under 6.1, I remember this, that it said how many people the study had been done on. And it was like 43, or it was very few people. So all of this mandatory vaccine that is being given to your brand new baby with this unreal amount of what do you call it? The things that the vaccine floats in. What do you call those? Like mercury and all of the
the additives. They're called adjuvants.
The adjuvants that the carriers of this that go in with it, right?
Yeah.
Brand new baby, given all of this, they've only looked at how this looks on 43 to 50. Like it is a double-digit number, less than 60. I can't remember the exact number, but that's insane. And yet everybody gets it.
And then how long too? Was there a long-term study on those 40?
I don't think so. I think it was only usually they try to keep it to like 5 to 7 days.
Yep.
They're only looking at, so people will say, that all of these have been studied and they keep, it's a lie. They have not. None of them have been studied. In fact, he goes on to say that the one that has been studied the most, which is pitiful, and it hasn't been studied well at all, is the COVID vaccine. So that, and then all of the other ones are required for anyway. So sorry, just side note, also a note to everybody that you can view that movie Vaxxed online for free on the Highwire website too. And it is definitely worth taking a look at. It was made, got over 10 years ago, but it is a great movie. So
it is. Those people as well are really wonderful people. I've met Polly, I've met Dell, I've heard a lot of the stories, Polly, she's had her own experience with her son. And, this is the thing, like, they are uncovering what everybody should already know, like the fact that these studies, they're not using placebos. That's not science. They're not using, this is part of the problem. Everybody says science, check the facts and the studies. If they're doing a study and it's completely bunk, and that's what my whole Unbreaking Science song is about. is, numbers don't lie, but people do.
Yeah.
And, you can't trust science to speak for you. The thing is, science can be manipulated, and data is very easily manipulated. And so I think when you actually start doing this research, it's mind-blowing what you learn. I mean, the fact, even like the vaccine injury part of everything, there is no really good official database, because I just told you my story. Doctors don't bring up, oh, that might be an injury. This never happens in their minds. So the vaccine injury database that was there back in the day that I remember people talking about, it was all self-serving. Like, I would have to go on and submit my injury. None of my injuries have been submitted to that database.
I think the VAERS vaccine event reporting system. I love moving through the day, honoring all of who I am as a woman. That can be a challenge when imbalances such as damp heat, or toxic heat rear their ugly head vaginally, and issues such as yeast infections, bacterial vaginosis, and even HPV creep in. When our sensitive tissues are off, everything is off. All the tools I may have in my repertoire to ground and center go out the window, and I feel myself coming slightly unglued, to say the least. Everything is so incredibly uncomfortable. But I was tired of finding product after product that completely obliterated all of a woman's microbiome, and honestly was worried for all the other strange but natural culinary items I was testing out inside my vaginal cavity. It seemed wrong to kill all the bacteria off and then work to build a healthy vaginal microbiome back up again. That's one of the many reasons I absolutely love Yin-care's herbal wash. Research at the universities in China showed at the Petri dish level that at a 10 to 12% dilution, Yin-care's herbal wash would lyse all yeast cells and other bacteria while still allowing lactobacilli to continue to proliferate. This incredible Taoist formula gently nudges the vaginal microbiome back into balance. Not to mention, it feels amazing. Its cooling properties not only cool the very upset sensitive tissues, but cools my head and allows me to come back into my body and ground into my life and purpose once again. If you've never used our wash and you plan to use it vaginally, be sure you purchase the combo pack that includes both the 180 ml bottle of Yin-care's herbal wash and the 100 ml vaginal applicator. We now sell the bottle in two sizes, 100 ml and 180 ml bottles. So head on over to yincare.com. That's yincare.com. And by the way, Yin-care's herbal wash feels excellent after some rather hot and heavy lovemaking, or even at a less sexier time, but incredibly important, postpartum. Yin-care's herbal wash is excellent for postpartum care to cool things off, while also offering antimicrobial and antibacterial properties. So get your hands on some Yin-care's herbal wash today. Restore, rejuvenate, and refresh with Yin-care. It's been shown, they did a Harvard study that only 10% of actual vaccine adverse events are reported to the system. And and it's a pain in the butt, like for doctors to fill out, and even if they say that there's a policy, like a hospital policy for them to fill out, like they start to fill out this very complicated form. They make it purposefully difficult to use. They'll get booted out of the system. They have to restart all over. And so they just say, forget it. Like, why bother reporting it? And so it's really up to a patient to report. Even so, the data that is reported is horrendous.
Exactly. Considering the fact that you're saying it's 10% or less that's being submitted, and what's there is showing everything from SIDS to turbo cancer, to things like me with the candida and chronic illness and autism. I mean, it's absolutely mind-blowing to me that it's gotten to this point before, the word has gotten out, but that's just goes to show how much is controlled around the narratives and the playbook, and how much the medical system, they're going to die on that sword in a lot of ways, because it really takes a lot of accountability and having to deal with some guilt and regret and shame if you are a doctor with integrity and you start to realize, wow, I've been harming my patients.
Exactly.
That's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
It
is, absolutely. Oh my gosh, we could go on forever. There's so much. So I don't want to, I know you've got things to do as well. And you've been so generous with your time. And if there's more to unpack around that, we can start. I feel like we're going to do something else again anyway. Mm-hmm. And I want to show people what you do. But as we wrap up with this part of it, I wanted to see if you would be willing to just share with others to inspire them how to follow their own intuitive guidance around their health.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's such an important kind of message that I've taken away from my activism, because I was really burning myself out trying to like fix the broken system and, go to the rallies and go to the CDC and all these things. And at some point, again, I hit that brick wall of like, I don't know that this is the way. They don't care. We're speaking our truth and they don't care. And so, I think I was shown that it's really up to each one of us to be empowered with our health, with our choices, with our family sovereignty. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I went in to say we weren't going to get any more shots to the pediatrician, it was his 2-month appointment. And the doctor, he made me feel like I was killing my child. Like he scared the living daylights out of me. My husband was with me as well. I was crying in there. And I still managed to walk out with the no. And a huge part of that was based on my intuition, because I had finally gotten to a place where I couldn't silence it anymore. I had enough evidential information and like facts around me that I was able to support that. So I think one of my main messages around it would be to be comfortable with diving in and be empowered with your own knowledge and wisdom, so that when you have that intuition, you can still go and find resources and connect with information that helps back that up, that helps support that. Because sometimes if you're not as practiced and masterful with your intuition yet, it's really easy, like I did for many times, to just push it to the side and go along with what you're being, told. And especially when you're getting forced in that way, a lot of people are not having a lot of option. And so really just sticking to your guns, and being brave and courageous, and remembering you can always go get another shot, another prescription, a surgery. You can never take it back once you do it. And so the permanence and the understanding of what should really go into that process, it should never be okay, he's telling me to do it, I should just do it. It should always be this is a green light for me. My body, this feels right. I've done what I need for research and I feel good about it. I feel comfortable. I feel confident. It should always be in alignment, and not as soon as you feel any discord or disharmony in that choice, in that speaking your truth and whatever it is, stop, pause and reflect and make sure that because you can always say, let's talk about this next time. Let's, I just think that there's so much information around us. It can be overwhelming, but God gave us our intuition. It's literally our gift. It's literally our power. And the gut instinct, you hear people talking about mommy power, like we know, when we know, and we can feel it. And so, just really allowing and honoring that, but also like finding the support for that, because it's sometimes easier said than done. And depending on your situation, if I was by myself, maybe if my husband wasn't with me, maybe if I was just a little bit more not on my game that day, I could have said yes. And my child could be gone right now. Like I have friends here in Georgia. It's in one of my music videos called Sweet Angel Baby. Sweet Angel Baby Willow, her name was. She passed away after her 4-month vaccines. In bed, SIDS.
Yeah.
And so I thank God every day that I made this choice. I realized that, the toxic overload that was already in my son's system, probably because I was so toxic when I was pregnant. Like he was already at a threshold that he could not, his little body could not take any aluminum, could not take any of these heavy metals and these freaking animal kidney, canine, all these things they're using.
Fetal tissue.
Aborted fetal cells.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I realized that, I literally could have, saved his life. And I think it's actually more common than people realize. Unfortunately, SIDS is a huge cover up. We could do a whole show just on that and what I've learned around that. So if people think, a little autism, ADHD, okay, my child's going to, have an allergy, no big deal. Well, your child might not be here. It becomes that severe. And I think we witnessed that a lot with the shots that went around here with the La Cucaracha there. So,
exactly. Yeah, people are so protective irrationally. I really feel like it's truly a cult. Like people call it a religion, but I feel like it's more like a cult. Like they're following and defending a leader, a system that's leading them, that's sucking them dry financially and re-traumatizing them and traumatizing them and re-traumatizing them back into the system.
Oh, yeah.
But what you said is so perfect, because it really is such good advice for people to really know that those are elements as far as when you go into those doctor's visits to really bolster yourself in different ways. And that is actually part of a class I'm going to take. So maybe you'll be one of the little guest speakers that jumps in. It'll be in the new year in 2026, but around really stepping into amplifying your womb health and your womb wisdom in how to work with your healthcare practitioners in new ways, and how to know when a healthcare practitioner is the right one and how to team collaborate and all that kind of stuff. So that's really, really, really powerful advice. But one of the things that struck me when you said it, and I'll just segue into the work that you do, and we'll pull up the information that I wanted everyone to hear. First of all, Noko works with crystals. It's one of her superpowers. And I believe it probably is one of her healing tools as well. We're going to actually, let me go over here and go back to her website. It should show, maybe it's not going to, let me redo this.
And I just want to say, while you're doing that, don't be afraid to fire your doctor, because you are their customer. You are literally paying their bills. And there's tons more options out there. And so, like, for me and my family, we never became more healthy until I fired the pediatrician, until we stopped going and seeing white coats for every single little cough and sniffle. So, and again, this is not medical advice. This is just my experience. It was very empowering to just say, then I don't have to worry about standing my ground. If I'm working with somebody that doesn't respect my health freedom and my choices, what am I doing paying for their services? That's crazy.
100%. Yep. It's absolutely okay to walk out and and sort it out. And like you said, the other piece is buy yourself some time. They don't have to know what your choice is. You can leave and make your choice after you walk out of there.
Absolutely.
All really good. But this is her beautiful website, everyone. And so I'm just going to scroll through a couple things here, because for some reason, it's not going to share all of the different tabs that I have opened up. So we'll just go through this. She's got all kinds of beautiful, if you go to the bottom here, you can see all of the things that she's got listed. She's got beautiful products. And I brought in today, actually, you have your little angels down here, the same one, which I love, the healing angel. And she sits with me all the time. And you've also got on there some of these big, beautiful pyramids. At least I saw one of them.
I do, yeah. And I have a lot of things that aren't listed. This is a work in progress. So
that's okay. It always is. But I do want to draw people's attention to, she also offers these frequency and prayer sessions. She's got a grid and frequency session. And the last one, intuitive energy reading. And I just have to say, having been involved with Noko in the Earth Star Academy, and Noko runs the monthly prayer sessions, being in her presence in prayer is extremely powerful. She really has this beautiful energy for just holding the space and bringing in this divine presence and nourishment and just this tender innocence that really you just feel so loved and so held. So whatever project that you have going that you want to draw attention to, possibly with a grid she can use, or just having these prayer sessions where she will hold space in prayer for you, or an energy reading. She's very intuitive. Noko and I have worked together doing grid work for the property that I'm on. And it was incredibly powerful. And we went through and did this whole thing. And so I've actually worked with her and her intuitive energy around this project of mine that I basically had. So I just can't say enough good things about her. So definitely head on over to nokostribe.com and check those things out. And then she also has her YouTube channel, which let's see, it'll go right here.
Yeah. And I do have also on there, I'm starting my little online course area. So I'm going to be offering, I haven't like fully published everything yet, but over to the right, there you go.
Yeah. I saw that, this amethyst chrysalis.
Yeah. It's going to be really fun. I'm going to be doing lots of different things here in regards to connecting with crystals and communicating with crystals and learning and just kind of activating and things like this. So keep an eye out in that space, because I'm definitely got some new things coming down the pipeline that will be really exciting.
That is so cool. And then also, actually, I should go before we go to the YouTube channel, you have your Patreon channel.
Oh yeah.
And people can sign up for Patreon. You can check out some of the things she's got on there for free. And then I believe you've got stuff behind a paywall as well.
Yes, lots of different content and offers. That's still growing as well, but I do a lot of sound healing and going to be doing some food prep and things like that in there.
Cool.
So it's kind of like a all well-rounded community space. I really believe in crystals in the way of them being a tool from God. And I really like to clarify that, because I have had people in my close friend group that, maybe don't really understand or have been programmed by their religion to believe that, they might be not such great things to work with. And I just want to make it clear, like, it's just such a beautiful resource from God. It's no different than working with nature. And that's what it is, really. So definitely like to say, it's not like worshiping something like that. It's more of that you've got your tool belt and which tools can you use?
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of people will accept that you can talk to plants or trees or everything. And so if you have a knowledge of that, the way that you can kind of translate that to a crystal or to a stone or a gem or whatever a mineral of some sort, right, is that they also have an energetic quality, but it is going to be because of its density, it's going to communicate in a different way. And so you have to kind of like slow down into that where you can have that type of communication. And so Noko's offering some coursework to get to know these crystals, which is really cool.
Yeah, I've really been diving in because I want to get back into my music, and I'm planning on doing some really cool things that kind of all intertwine. And I'm just coming into this space of, like, I used to call myself like a hip hop artist, an independent artist, a truth, warrior, spiritual gangster artist. And now it's like, I'm a frequency artist. And I'm realizing that everything that I do is all connected in that way, from my prayer to the frequency devices that I like to use, to the crystals, to my sound healing, to my music and my voice, my light language. It's all connected into this frequency work. And so, yeah, I'm super excited because it just feels like I'm kind of like at this next level of bringing forward something really, really new and exciting to the space of what it is to listen to music. So
yay, we look forward to that. And so you guys, if you want to check out Noko's YouTube channel as well, that is over here. And then let's see if I can get that for you. And then I also want to just share, this is her social media. So if you want to reach out to Noko, she's got 2 different Instagram channels. There's at Noko's Tribe and at Nokomis77. And then the YouTube is at Noko's Tribe. So definitely check that out, you guys. I am so grateful, Noko, for you being here today. It's been so cool. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It's been amazing. I do want to just slip in here too, like one of the missing pieces to my healing journey puzzle. I was doing all the physical things. I was changing everything for my lifestyle. I was doing, eating the right things, the supplements and exercising. And it was like at some point I did hit this place where I needed God and I needed prayer and I needed spirituality. And it all just kind of brought everything full circle. When I found that part of myself, it was that missing piece that I needed to really fully, feel like I could heal and accept the miracles that were ahead of me. So.
Oh, I love that. That is so cool. Yes, absolutely. Being centered in God's prophecy is a big one. And we are living embodiments of that prophecy. So, and Noko can really speak to that and help anyone that's interested in coming into alignment with that, with her work. So definitely reach out. And I would really love, if it's okay with you, if we could leave everyone with your video, Multidimensional, on the way out.
Yeah, that would be great. That's kind of like one of the songs of my turning point when I went more into the spiritual realm and sharing a little bit more in my music. That it's like every time I've done my music, it's like it can't just be something, like normal, so to speak. It's always like pushing the envelope. So before, if I was nervous about my message and people hearing the truth about, shots and conspiracies and all these things, and then it was like, wow, okay, now people are going to hear about God and spirituality and prayer and multidimensional aspects of life. So it's like, you love it or you hate it, I guess.
Exactly. Well, we love it. We love it.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to say before we leave everybody with that beautiful song?
No, just so thankful and excited to feel the reverberations of what we've done here today, and just prayerful that it really reaches all those that need these messages and that are looking for empowerment, are looking for answers. And just remember that the answers are actually all within and with God. So being sure to focus on those places, our sacred vessel and our connection to God, I think will always lead you in the right direction. So
wonderful. Thank you, Noko.
Thank you.
Let me just put this on for everybody.
From another dimension, from the core to the cosmos, I'm dialed in, I don't need no extension. And oh, did I mention all my intentions, divine interventions, receiving these blessings and stay manifesting like a magician. Woo!
talking oceans, it get that deep. I'm talking layers, just like this beat.
astral journey between them sheets, swimming with the dolphins, communicating. They understand everything that I'm saying. They providing you wisdom to take back home. A double mission, I'm in the zone. That purple sky, it got me high. Don't wanna wake up, I love the vibe, but I know it's time to say bye to my tribe, to head back home to the other side.
That was so cool. I love that so much, Noko.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's a good tune for sure. It's a classic.
I know. I love the part about dreaming and diving in with the dolphins, and it's so good.
I have to thank you too, because I never made the connection, but as I was just watching and listening, I realized that dream that I was talking about in that song was actually the first time I met Indigo Angel in Dreamtime.
Oh my God.
And I didn't even know her yet. And I remember in the journal, like writing all this information about her. And
wow.
And then later in life, fast forward, I forget if it was a few years or whatever. And I met her and I was like, I feel like I know you. And then I told her that I had met her in Dreamtime doing this mission with the dolphins and the purple sky. And so I just,
oh my gosh, how cool.
Forgot that I actually wrote a song about it. So it's kind of
wow, funny. That's awesome. Oh my God, it's so cool. Yay. Thank you so much. Thank you all so much for listening. Having Noko share her story was truly such a blessing. I honestly had no idea we would end up providing another outlet for exposure of vaccine injury awareness. She is such a gem and brings such bounty with her music and creative business. Are we so lucky to have been here sharing in all of that today? That was awesome. I hope you all will follow her over on her social media channels. Be sure to check the links out in the show notes to complete our medical incident report form, as well as the Sovereign Health Choice report form. We want to know either what happened to you in the Western medical industrial system or how you powerfully stepped out of it. I'm on a mission to help you remember and reignite your own intuition through your womb wisdom so that you are ready, willing, and able to step fully and completely into your sovereign health creation journey. Shows launch every 2 weeks wherever you get your podcast. Don't forget to head on over to Yin-care.com and click on signing up for our womb empowerments, as well as check out our womb wisdom store, upcoming courses, and the services that I offer. And of course, you can always find us on Instagram at yin_care and on X, Facebook, and YouTube at Yin-care. I'm your host, Margaret Jacobson, the Mother Rising, and this has been the Yin-care Podcast. Until next time, honor yourself, celebrate your strength, and empower your transformation with your Yin-care.